Oh,
So
wow.
sometimes they put me on video, just say, "Hey, everybody, have a great day. Go get them, Tiger." And so we're managing more than I ever thought we could from this room.
Oh, that's good. That's really good to hear. I'm
It's
checking to
beautiful.
see. I think, are we live? I think we are.
Okay.
We're just going to wait a couple seconds for people to log in.
Hmm.
Um, that way we don't miss anyone. So they're just kind of slowly coming in.
Okay. I'm gonna go. I'll kind of start from the front of the building, probably.
Great. All right. Are you good, Mark? We're going to get started.
Great.
Okay. So first of all, I want to go ahead and say hi to everyone who's joining us today for this beautiful day. In fact, as we can see where Mark is, for our October local Lunch and Learn series. This series is really about recognizing and highlighting all of the great work that many of our partners that WAC works with throughout the years. And the great work they do to enrich our communities and recognizing that work. For our community, our WAC network, it's really about giving us an opportunity to learn about the vast resources that we have in our region, which many of us do not know about. So today we are featuring WaterStep with founder and CEO, Mark Hogg. Hi, Mark.
Hey, Diane. It's great to see you.
Good to see you.
What a great opportunity to hang out with you guys today.
Yes, we are excited to talk with you. I'm just going to do a quick intro about the organization. Sometimes we, especially now, we've been getting people from around the country to tune in and hear about the things that we do locally. My name is Xiaoyan Zhao. I am the Executive Director of the World Affairs Council of Kentucky and Southern Indiana. WAC is a hub for international exchange, dialogue, and learning, and we are located in Louisville, Kentucky. As a member of 3 national networks, Global Ties US, the World Affairs Councils of America, and Sister Cities International, World Affairs Council facilitates a variety of international professional and youth exchanges, speaker programs, and educational opportunities for the Kentuckiana region year-round. Now, our organization is member supported, but we are not member exclusive in our programming, which are open to the public. Our goal is always to ensure that this community has access to expert analysis and quality discussions on topics that impact us locally, nationally, and globally, especially during these times. So today, we're very excited to welcome Mark Hogg, the founder and CEO of WaterStep, which is an organization headquartered in Louisville, Kentucky, but work around the world to provide accessible clean water solutions to communities that need them during the best of times, but especially in times of natural disasters. WaterStep just received the prestigious 2020 Teddy Award in the partnership category for its Water on Wheels disaster response system. The Teddy Award recognizes significant lasting achievements by the government's cross-sector partners in helping federal officials meet mission goals. Now, Mark has led the organization through a series of transitions and growth, resulting in WaterStep becoming a major player in the international fight against waterborne disease. WaterStep's team has implemented safe water projects in more than 50 countries and improved the lives of millions of people. Mark is an experienced motivational speaker, drawing on his background as an ordained minister and over 30 years of international travel. His extensive time in the field has uniquely positioned Mark to be an inspirational advocate for global water, sanitation, health issues, and the power of one to make a difference in the world. Mark has been recognized with many awards for his work and his visionary leadership with WaterStep, including the inaugural Kentucky Humanitarian of the Year Award from the Muhammad Ali Center. So welcome, Mark.
It's an honor to be here.
Yes, before I turn it over to Mark, I just let everybody know very quickly that we are recording this webinar and we are live streaming it on Facebook. Our members will have access to the recordings after the event. We'll have about 15, 20-minute presentation and tour of the facility with Mark, and then we'll have about 30 minutes conversation that will include Q&A from our audience. So you can submit questions at any time during our conversation, however. And now, without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Mark. Welcome, Mark.
It's great to see you, and thanks so much for your kind words. I think I'm going to make you send me a copy of that. I'm going to read that to my wife and my dog, and maybe they'll be much nicer to me at the house from time to time. I can just pull that out. It's great to hang out with you guys, and I tell you what, the World Health Council has meant so much to us, strategically bringing people to our work and being able to share together that with folks. And as a result, we've been able to impact lives together. You can probably hear the airplane above me. WaterStep is located in Old Louisville. I thought I'd start us out just at the entrance and let you see kind of where we come in. We've got this wonderful 36,000 square foot building, and you'll see it's manicured with wonderful landscaping. Everything you see in here has been donated, given, and supported by so many people. Just like World Affairs Council, so many people have owned the fact that WaterStep is an important part of the community. And so we bought this ratted out building. It's got great bones, and we've kept remodeling it. So come on in. This is our big room. It's kind of our entrance room. And we got some people eating lunch, got some volunteers here. We keep our flags up here. We have flags from over 50 countries that we've made an impact in, with people in just so many different places, and so thankful. So, I'll show you some. We haven't done a lot of work with this room other than letting it be a kind of a multi-use gathering place. So we don't do a lot of training in here, but we'll do a lot of engagements. And we also sometimes we had a wedding in here a few months ago. It's kind of nice. So come on in. This is one of the places when people tour. There's Shelly. Shelly, say hey. She's eating pizza. Shelly and her husband, Don, are awesome. They work with our shoes. I'll tell you a little bit more about that in just a second. But these are our story walls that we use. Got a few highlights of folks that we call field consultants. That actually, a field consultant is somebody that's kind of taken the ownership of how to take water, health, and sanitation to a new level in a certain region. And a lot of those kind of keep capitulating that, I think that's the word, and capitalizing on that in order to multiply people's ability to take care of their own areas. Great stories like this. So let me introduce you real quick. This is Lucy. Lucy's 12 years old in this picture. She's about 17 now. Lucy started her own nonprofit, but as a child, she was a friend with a gal named Faith, who they met because Lucy filled up one of those Christmas shoeboxes, sent it out, Faith got it. They became pen pals, writing back and forth as kids. And then one time, one part of their relationship, Faith was gone. Lucy just couldn't find her. She'd be emailing her, trying to find her, couldn't find her. Finally, Faith gets back online and she says, hey, Lucy, I'm so sorry, but I've been sick. Our community's been sick. Some people have died because of water. So Lucy got this. If you got to get to know this girl. She has climbed the tallest peaks in every single state in the United States, climbed Kilimanjaro and other, the tallest peak in Australia. She's a mountain climber, and she does it all to save lives and save water. Because she said, Faith, I don't want that to happen again. I'm bringing you safe water. She's from Chicago. She's got on the web, found WaterStep, brought her parents here. They got trained. They got our equipment, went to Uganda, met Faith for the first time, and trained Faith's daddy, Emmanuel, who's a pastor in the community. So Emmanuel's like, oh my gosh, this is great. They set up this mini water treatment plant. Awesome. So Emmanuel's hoping for 200 or 300 people the next morning to come get water. 2,000 people showed up. Well, these little green dots represent, and it's not even updated, this guy, we can't stop him from doing water treatment systems in communities around him. He's done 20, 30 systems, and just thousands and thousands of people their lives are being touched and impacted because of this 12-year-old girl and her story. Powerful. She continues multiplying that. So a lot of these people you see on this wall are similar. Now, this is Jean-Claude. You may have heard of a lot of our work with the Ebola pandemic in the Congo. I got a unit, a special tool I'm going to show you in a few minutes quickly about our Bleach Maker. We sent, I don't know, 100, 150 Bleach Makers over to the Congo. Jean-Claude lives in Lexington. So he's a refugee, came over, I can't remember when he came over from the Congo, but he's a physician. Knows a bunch of physicians there. The Ebola crisis going crazy, if you all recall, in the Congo a couple of years ago. So he meets with 100 doctors, goes over there with our equipment, comes up with a strategy they call the T factor. And the T factor was basically kind of a wall of clinics, like a T. And as people were running from the pandemic and running from the violence, they would end up bumping into these clinics. Each one of them had a bleach maker. Those bleach makers were able to provide sanitation and safe water to the people. And the Minister of Health for the entire country of the Congo says, hey, Jean-Claude, the tools from WaterStep, without it, the epidemic would not have been abated. So we're real proud of Jean-Claude and excited about that. We got stories like this all over the place here, all over Central America too. Love this gal. She goes to Sacred Heart locally in Louisville. Her family's from Colombia. She started sorting shoes. I'll tell you about that a little bit. As a child, and then she gets to high school and she's like, we're from Colombia. My parents know some people who don't have safe water. Let's do a project. So she does. Love her to death. She's awesome. So these are some other folks that we've worked with, several interns. This gentleman we met through the earthquake in Ecuador. This young man has a route that he does with a disinfectant machine we call the chlorine generator for water. So he provides several communities water. This gentleman's an ambassador. Each year we kind of nominate and select 3 or 4 ambassadors around the world. They get WaterStep gear, plenty of equipment, you know, real close network with each other and share best practices and that kind of stuff. He's a rock star. He's in Ecuador. So good stuff. This is a gal, Cindy, we met in Puerto Rico. There we put about 120 disaster kits. I'll show those to you in just a second. Cindy and I got to go speak at the UN, which was real fun, and talk about women in water and science. And she's a science teacher. She's brilliant. Teaches at the university there. Love her to death. She's awesome. She's done a lot of work with us. So this is our storyboard. There's so many stories, and we're going to get better at telling those on our website and go from there. So there's Mike and Jerry. They're hanging out. Tell them to get back to work. They take the longest lunches. And Bob, and there's Don. Oh my gosh. So anyway, Thursday's a big day. We work a lot on, I'm going to go this way. I'll talk about shoes real quick. So many people. WaterStep's kind of an odd group. We're a nonprofit, but we deal with business a lot too. So we put these side the people can't afford them. But a lot of times folks are coming in from other organizations to be educated. They buy our equipment. We make some money off that equipment. And then that helps our donor dollars kind of go up. So our shoe business is pretty crazy. It does about 20% of our budget. About lost every friend I had, and I think my wife was about to leave me when I had this idea from a friend to collect used shoes, sell them to an exporter, and make some money. So that's what we do here. Oh, okay, awesome. So Kurt's our Vice President of Training and Field Operations. He's going back to our warehouse. I'll take y'all back here just a minute. Our manufacturing part of the warehouse. Anyway, so we get about 30,000 pounds of shoes a month. And so you can see Don and Shelly process shoes like crazy. They're kind of our volunteers with that, with a bunch of other people. We have groups in all the time to process those, which is pretty cool. But that does a good percent of our budget as a business. Now, this is where we manufacture our equipment. So I've got Joe back here. I've asked Joe to kind of help us talk about some of that equipment, but we have volunteers here. We do manufacture that we for bleach. And this is a great tool for saving lives around about the size of a curl, and I show it to you. Safe. Joe Jacoby came to as a retired dentist. And he leads our entire manufacturing process at WaterStep. So Joe's going to show us a couple of things over here. I've asked him to help us out a little bit, and he's going to show us first, I think, the bleach maker. So that'd be great.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Okay, hello. No telling what Mark's been telling you, so we'll kind of start from the beginning.
I told him about Jean-Claude and the bleach maker and the Ebola virus in the Congo.
Yeah. Now, certainly that was the Ebola outbreak a few years ago was the inspiration to develop a small device that could be used to disinfect medical waste as well as household. So we came up with what we call the Bleach Maker, a very simple little device, connects to a battery or a power supply. We use a brine solution, apply the stick to the jug just to hold it there, and connect it to the battery. And about 75 minutes, about an hour, you get 5 liters of a bleach that will disinfect medical waste. So it's been very helpful in Ebola. It can also be used with a dilution to disinfect household cabinets, knives, food preparation areas, dishes, water jugs, and we also have information on here how to use it to disinfect water. So we can make a lot of uses just from this one simple device.
It's extremely versatile.
Very versatile.
Yeah.
And very easy to maintain, which makes it sustainable because all you need is the battery power supply.
Mm-hmm.
And if you have an automobile or a truck, this can go right on there. And common table salt.
So the Kenyan Red Cross has gotten about 60 of these. They're going crazy with them, and they and another group are looking at a strategy of putting 300 of these in 300 clinics across Kenya. That's a game changer, Joe. When you can imagine working in a medical situation without any disinfectant, and then you're bringing this in, it changes everything.
Yep. Yeah. It's a very versatile device, and we have certain modifications on it to allow it to make larger volumes over longer periods of time.
Awesome.
But same sort of device.
Cool.
Very useful.
You want to show us about the manufacturing?
Mark, come this way.
He's used to putting up. It's kind of fun. You just a bunch of folks today.
Yes, they heard there was a camera, so they left. Here this morning, we've been working on building additional bleach makers. We have, these are partially assembled, or the stick is assembled. We need to finish connecting it. Here's some that were built out this morning. So now they have the lid attached. We have some more work to do to finish these, but we'll have another batch of 50 or so that will be ready to pack here in the next week coming up.
Now, Joe, what was interesting is when COVID happened, we realized that the Bleach Maker was just a sword in your production, but we couldn't gather in here. How did we solve that problem? What did y'all come up with? That it was pretty creative.
Well, what we did was because we couldn't have a large number, say 12 people in the shop at the same time, we broke it down, and we had various people who had built these before on our team. We gathered up the supplies they needed. They agreed to take these home and in their own workshop assemble, do sub-assemblies.
That's awesome.
So that we could always all bring them here and eventually get them packed, and do that with a small number. We still try to maintain a maximum of about 6 people in the shop at any one time. As things have become a little more relaxed, but we all stay socially distant.
Right.
And we still have people out there that we ship out things to them, and we bring them back when they're finished.
It's changed everything. And it's
Yeah.
really, we made it work for the better. And just I'm so proud of these guys, because just in the first few weeks of COVID, y'all manufactured like 2 or 3 times the amount that we did all last year.
Yes.
So that's the kind of response these guys got. And Joe, you're on payroll and everybody else is on payroll, right? So
Yes.
y'all get paid a lot of money for doing this, correct?
Well, we get a lot of coffee and donuts. It seems to be the currency of trade.
That's awesome.
Yes.
The wonderful thing about WaterStep is the strength of the team. And I hate the word volunteer, because I think sometimes that gives you a connotation that people are in and out as they want to be. But the commitment of the volunteers around here is absolutely intense. Never seen anything like it. Cool.
Right.
Well, Joe, thanks for hanging out with us. I'm
You're
going to give them a
welcome.
little tour of the water school, and
Sure thing.
we'll go from there.
Goodbye,
Everybody say bye
everybody.
to Joe. Okay, awesome. He is so darn cute. Thanks for being here. So we've seen the shoes. We saw a little bit about manufacturing. So Shelly's getting back busy with the shoes, which is great. Shoes kind of stink sometimes. I always tell everybody it smells like money. Anyway, so we're going back through the water school. See, everybody's still eating. So look at these guys. Unfreaking believable. Sorry, so we're going to go to the water school. And in here, I was asked earlier multiple times, it's like, what do y'all do? You can't travel during COVID. How are you making an impact? Well, we've been training virtually for several years and getting more and more and more intensive about that, intentional about that, and purposeful. We've actually built a studio upstairs that we're kind of fleshing out like a TV studio, if you will, and putting more elements in there to do training. And we're about to put next year our hand pump training on class. We teach people how to repair wells. We have the only indoor well training operation that's year round in the world. And it's pretty exciting. But we do that from here, and we're doing that virtually, which is really exciting. So we're saving a ton of money not traveling. We started doing that a while back. And so anyway, that's what we do. So here, let me show you a little bit. It's a pretty good size room. This area is cool. We've gotten a bunch of plywood donated, and the guys are cutting that and finishing that. So we're just finishing out these rooms. They're just really pretty. All those volunteers you saw are doing that. But anyway, in this room, we bring in virtually a bunch of people, and then we'll bring in also people physically with COVID every once in a while. They scatter about here. So we did that about 2 weeks ago. We had probably 10 or 12 people in here, something like that, a week and a half ago. And they had projects all over the world that they're working on. They have their own agendas. And so they come in, they get trained, and then we train them on how to set up mini water treatment systems like this. So these are training tanks, and we use at the center of this is a chlorine generator that we manufacture. Now, WaterStep believes wholeheartedly we're not in Louisville just for the heck of it, because the invention of taking salt water, like Joe was telling us about earlier, introducing electricity, making a disinfectant to introduce the water to kill pathogens was invented here in 1896 by William Jewell. The world changed because of that.
we're about that here in Louisville, changing the world too. So we do a lot of training here on these tanks, teaching people how to set up mini water treatment plants. This has been a rock star. Still got a picture of some of the work that we did in when we started working in Puerto Rico. But this is the rock star we took down there. Like I said, we took about 120 units down there of these, what we call disaster kits. Now you can literally throw in this, the back, got a solar panel to charge your battery, got your car battery. There's the chlorine generator right there. The water is chlorinated. The chlorine solution shoots to the back of the bladder tank. It's sucked in through the pump, the front, so it stirs. You can throw this in the back of a pickup truck and purify it while you're driving, which is crazy. Comes with some filtration right there to get particulates out. Also has a bleach maker in it. Put 120 of these in Puerto Rico. Every one of the 78 municipality disaster response crews was trained. They've all got one. Game changer down there. This is the WOW cart that we were talking about earlier. There's some info on that. I'm going to get it tied up in that right now. One more real quick show and tell. And y'all got to come visit. Just come down and get a tour. We do those virtually, but we also do them physically once a month, or you can come get a special tour. But this is a hand pump right here. So upstairs on the second floor, we've located the most popular hand pumps in the world. Teach you how to repair those. We've got the tools to give you to repair those, or you can buy those, of course, if you can afford them. And then you can go teach other people how to have a business repairing hand pumps that get broke. They say 70% of the hand pumps put on wells in the world are broke and not being fixed. To repair a well is a whole lot cheaper than having drilling a well. So for example, in Haiti, the aquifer is about 65 to 85 feet. It's about $7,000 to drill a well and cap it. We've repaired probably 20 hand pumps in 3 or 4 days with 2 or 3 people for less than $400. It's a game changer. And then those people have been trained and can keep those repaired. Anyway, so quick tour, very exciting. So glad you guys are here and hanging out with us. And I think I've done what I'm supposed to do with the tour, and love to hang out and chat a little bit and answer some questions from here and see where we want to go from here. So thanks so much for letting me be a part of today.
All right. Wow, that was really great. I know every time we talk to you, Mark, that it's always going to be a dynamic, not just presentation, it's always going to be much more three-dimensional, as you have shown, even though we've had some in and out connection since you were moving all around.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Was it
no,
bad?
that's all right.
Okay.
That's all right. So we've been there, just letting everybody else know. Mark and WaterStep was very kind to host us just last fall for a big summit that the World Affairs Council had, implemented with our national partners. And we got to show, I guess, 80 plus people from around the US to come, right? And they were very kind to host us using that facility for a number of sessions. And I can tell you that a lot of our national partners were truly, truly impressed with the work that you do and the innovations that you brought to them.
And we had some relationships that kind of continued on as a result. That's the best part, is when we can do something, introduce people, and then together we're able to help others. So we love doing that with you guys.
Yes, and that's what we want to do. We want, we're not in the business of knowing all the expertise and the actual work, unfortunately, but we know where the problems and possibly the people who are interested in being able to connect them to do that work is really what's important for us. So we're in this kind of odd time, and you talked about how the pandemic, and it's a good thing that you have already set up some infrastructure with the virtual trainings that you established before this, which is a very great foresight on all of your side. So, but it must have really impacted in other ways. Tell us a little bit more about how has this period been difficult, because there's still a lot of needs. That Bleach Maker is amazing. I'm sure that is probably has to be one of the biggest demands during this time.
Yes, for sure. the thing that was great is real quick after, you know, the coronavirus started emerging and the limitations that we were going to have, we just got real smart and sat down and said, let's do this like we do any disaster. So let's pull the trigger like we would be responding to an earthquake, or a hurricane response or anything like that. And let's just pull the trigger like that together. And that's when Joe and the team came up with some real creative ideas to do manufacturing. In that, we started doing a tremendous amount of exploring on what people would need. And we had a pretty good idea disinfection would be it. Well, one of the early stories we had, I think the governor shut us down on a Monday. I'm probably making this up and I'm probably wrong. And let's say on Wednesday, we went to a local homeless shelter, Wayside Christian Mission, and we took them a bleach maker, and they said, we can't find bleach. We went to Sam's Club or something and found 2 gallons for $7 or $8 a gallon, which is a huge amount. And so immediately they were able to manufacture a tremendous amount of bleach every day. So I think they're manufacturing, I want to say 8 or 10 gallons of bleach every day. And so what they've done as a result of that is they've also saved money in their budget, because they've changed the way they use disinfectant to use the disinfectant that they make themselves. So the part of our job began to be exploring, phone calling food shelters, homeless shelters, places where folks were gathering, refugees and that kind of thing. How can we be a benefit? Because it was kind of teaching somebody something new. For us in the U.S., we don't think twice about buying disinfectant. It's on the shelf. We can get it anytime we want. But there was an education process that was interesting as we began to work in COVID that needed a little tweak to it, more so than when we worked in the developing world. Because I think in the developing world, disinfectant is seen as a luxury. It's not even something that you really can have. You'd want that because it does great things. But for us, it was so common sense that was kind of the other side of the coin to start training. So one of the things was us just getting really good at helping people understand, that this is a need, that it may not smell, it has a, you can, we don't have it so strong that it knocks you out. You can manufacture it that way if you want to. But we're used to something that, spray and it's just great, and the fact of the matter is you can't kill germs just by spraying something and wipe it off. It's got to have contact time and of a minute and that kind of thing. So there's a lot of new education stuff that came with what we're doing, and we learned a lot.
Yeah, I think we all realize how important all of those things that we take for granted are and became during this time. I mean, all that bleach, the seeking of all kinds of disinfectants in those earlier days was just ridiculous. But that's why when I remember, the information that you all kind of upgraded and kind of modified that bleach maker, that was pretty interesting, and that was so timely. It's just another evidence of how you are able to kind of bring something that you've done in other places and really kind of modify it to the needs of any time. So that was very smart. Let me ask you about just in terms of how you work in a community, because we know when the disaster hits, you're kind of one of the early response to get in. But how does that process work? Because it's not, is it as simple as just, this is happening, we've got the equipment, we're going to get over there and do it? You probably need quite a number of local partners, or you have to have who do you work with there? And are there any kind of other kinds of layers of hurdles you have to get over in those times, like government? Do you have to work with them? Regulatory issues, that type of process?
Yeah, that's a great question. I'm going to shift a little bit so I can make sure my internet connection's strong. That's a great question. We don't go anywhere unless we've got folks on the ground that we know that we can work with. And the other thing is you can't go anywhere. I recall when the Haiti earthquake happened in 2010, I'll never forget, John Travolta flew his airplane down there and he's like, I want to land. And they said, you can't. Well, we had a friend of ours that was really, if you've seen, Top Gun, he wasn't Tom Cruise, but he was a guy that taught Tom Cruise how to fly airplanes. That's the kind of role he played in the Navy. And so the great thing that he did was he contacted Southern Command, was able to get somebody, and we were escorted into Haiti. So immediately we learned years ago that we've got to be brought in by the right people. When we did Puerto Rico, General Electric has a appliance park, has a big warehouse down there and operation down there. We went in with them, and they got us connected with the disaster relief teams down there. So we've done about 14 or 15 disasters since 2009. And each time we have gotten into the network that we need to be in to go in with somebody. We never just show up. We always feel like we'll fail and waste money, waste time, and get in the way if we're not with the right people that are on the ground in leadership. And that's what we do. If we don't find that, we don't go.
Yeah, that makes sense. Especially a lot of the developing countries, there's so many different layers in that process. Does that then give you the way into kind of having more long-term partnerships with those governments and those countries and communities?
No doubt about it. Because of the network that a lot of them have set up, disaster work is kind of interesting because there's a certain amount of funds people have. There's a certain amount of time that they'll spend, and there's a certain amount of boxes they want checked off. And when those are checked off, they go. So we're a little more agile and can pivot pretty well because we're small. So we're able to kind of work in those networks, and we can kind of be flexible, fluctuate a little bit, stay a little longer, and don't have the bureaucratic issues to not build friendships and relationships with community leaders maybe and other nonprofits that a group we may be working with either doesn't have the time to do, or that's just not in their agenda. So it does give us the ability to make a wider, bigger footprint when we go to places like this.
Great. I have a question here from the audience that asks, what role do you think your technology will have with the predicted coming water wars, I guess, especially in the developing world?
I think it's a game changer. I think what we provide is a decentralized way of working with water. Now, in developed countries in the United States, we've got a central place that we treat water. We got a central place that we send water to be treated, and then it's all piped to us. What we're seeing in many parts of the country already is that kind of infrastructure is super expensive to maintain. And eventually, it's just going to be a horrific problem even in developed countries. In the developing world, however, we focus on a decentralized way to do that. How can the ordinary person be able to provide the tools they need, operate those, and be able to get water, sanitation needs, and that knowledge to a small group of people in a region? And that's a game changer. And I think it will be more and more so. That kind of look is going to be more and more important in the U.S. Bottled water, for example, the impact that the water on wheels cart that I showed you and that we talked about earlier, we got the award for, is an example of how we've done something traditionally, which is just bring in tons of bottled water to solve the problem. And the long term of that, it is not a decentralized way of operating. The water is expensive. It's hard to get out to people and to distribute. And there's a tremendous amount of waste. So the well cart, again, is simple to operate. It allows me to be able to move something around and decentralize that whole idea of providing water and sanitation. For the water wars that we're going to see happen, it won't just be access points, but it will be the ability to make the water that they have safe to drink, I believe.
Yes, water is one of the greatest scarce resources we have, at least fresh, clean water that we can actually use.
Well, and I'll
Yeah.
it's just kind of a learning tip that we've had. I'm still moving. I'm going to make sure I got some good power here. When people drink bottled water, we tell them all the time. Oftentimes when people drink bottled water, they take that cap on the bottle and they screw it on top to throw it away, and they leave a little bit of water in there. We've had some interns do some study on how much water is actually left in that bottle, because what we're doing is, Mama taught me that, when God made the world, all the water on the world is still there, in one form or another. But what's happening is with our world, our culture, we're sealing that bottle up in plastic for hundreds and hundreds of years. That's not accessible. So we're actually taking tremendous large lakes, if you will, of water and burying that in the ground in plastic that we can't have access to. So to your point, water is becoming more and more and more critical for us to have.
That's right. That's right. So you mentioned working in 50 different countries, many communities.
I'm
You
here.
okay?
I'm good. I'm good. I love it.
Which project or community really stands out to you the most of all the places that you've worked with?
Man, that's kind of hard.
For any reason.
So I love the projects that are managed by these field consultants. Like right now, we have so many rock stars in like the Kenya, Tanzania, South Sudan area. And we just got word about 2 weeks ago, the Kenya guys and gals are like, we want to start a WaterStep nonprofit. Can we use your name? It's like, well, heck yeah. So they have a good cache of equipment. They know how to do training. They manage that well, and they build good leaders. So that's kind of exciting. But on the other hand, the story I told you about Jean-Claude, being able to be a part of something that has such a huge impact and watching that happen. And it's so interesting for our folks in manufacturing to think about, my thumbprint is on that equipment that has changed the route of the Ebola virus in another country. That's exciting. Probably the thing that punches my buttons the most is like these groups in Kenya, in Liberia. We've got some of this happening when you've got a person with a vision that then multiplies something bigger than themselves. That's what personally I love watching that happen, because I'm a big person. You mentioned it. I'm the big person in the power of one. I believe with all my heart, ordinary people, it can change the world. We don't have to have some sort of engineering degree or wear a lab coat or anything like that. And that's why we built WaterStep like this, is for anybody to be able to change the dynamic of water being the greatest killer, access to unsafe water being the greatest killer in the world.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing the innovation that goes into this, because from someone who's, like you say, not an engineer or really very knowledgeable in that area, it seems like how you can kind of create something so that seems so simple and easy as ensemble must have taken a lot of creativity and really thinking behind that. And maybe,
the simple stuff is really hard. And when you've got, like I was talking to you about the gentleman in 1896 that made this, process of creating disinfectant from salt and water and electricity, extremely simple. but how do we put that in like our chlorine generator in something that's very small, the size of a North American football, and something that you could drop and it not break, and that it doesn't have any moving parts, and can last for decades just by itself. That's hard. That takes a lot of time and energy to think through. And we got great people that do that.
You do. It's amazing how much they get paid to do it, huh?
Yes. Oh my God.
Uh, so I guess I want to kind of wrap up with just thinking about the future, because I remember when we had this conversation and you talked about the WaterStep when we had the summit last fall. Just you talking about the challenges of getting this much more broadly out in the world, because there are some really interesting stuff, very innovative stuff that you have there. And I know that quite a number of partners that we had from State Department there as well was wondering, how is this not more widely utilized or known? What are your thoughts about scaling up? What are the challenges, or is that a route you want to go? Given the work and the need that's there, just and around that, just thinking about, what, are you patenting any of this stuff? That's really interesting, because you talk about the model, it's you're a nonprofit, but you're doing some pretty amazing stuff that maybe businesses would be charging lots of money for. So the patent, how are you able to continue sustain? And also just thinking about in terms of going in the future, do you have are there other organizations like yours around the world doing similar type of work? And how do you fit into that overall humanitarian type of disaster relief?
Those are great questions. And address the first question about scaling up. We're ready. We've talked about it for years. We're able to manufacture, not working too hard with a bunch of volunteers, 2 light days a week. So we have plenty of room to scale that up, to hire some people to manufacture, to work with them if we want to, and to work a 40-hour work week in manufacturing. So there's plenty of that. For the new WOW cart, we're expecting next year for more of those to happen. We've got plenty of room. And as I speak, people are working in the back to take 2 more small rooms and customize those just for assembly for the WOW cart. The WOW cart is patented. It has it has a design patent on that, and it has a design patent for a specific manifold where you can actually dial in a number of filters in or out. The chlorine in and out has a UV on it as well. Our Bleach Maker's patented. We have a small personal spray bottle that makes a disinfectant for your home. That's kind of patented. We did that this summer. I didn't talk about that much. Our chlorine generator is not patented on purpose. It was the first machine that we really put together ourselves, the first model, and we designed it in the sense that if somebody can figure out how to put this together, go for it. It's something that we want to give to the world, and the engineers came together, and that's something that we want. So that was all of our agreement with that. But sustainability for our organization is important. Our nonprofit can sell this equipment because it's directly related to our mission. So that's not messing with us so far. But if it gets to the point we have a for-profit already in place, we're ready to go, and we can have that for-profit be able to fund the nonprofit. And so the legal and business elements have been put in place. We're ready to scale up. We want the challenge. And the nice thing about your network is y'all have such a wide variety of people that are connected with you all. And so, for example, one of our donors came in today and he said, I got in touch with an international medical core group. I want to donate them 10 bleach makers. I'm going to send them. I've been talking to them. I want them to they're based in Europe. I want them to put those in certain areas. Let's get some feedback and see if we can get them as a client and help bring the level up of their sanitation needs to, a solvable, level for them. we make some money. So there's connections, I think, that we're really trying to harvest right now of people to try to get us, to that next step. The thing that I love about our outfit, there's not a lot of sacred cows around here. We all have the same goal to see the day when no child dies of waterborne illness. We're ready to just do what it takes to get the job done, to do the next right thing. And I'm so honored to be a part of this group because we have that mindset, and we've got great friends like you guys that are willing to help us figure it out, because we all realize that water no matter what we're doing, when we're able to add safe water to it, it's a critical part of life.
Yeah, that is, yeah, what you do is so critical, and we really appreciate the fact that you are here in Louisville and able to kind of, hopefully, as a way to kind of really be a great ambassador for the city for the type of work. We are a city of compassion, and so certainly that is a critical part of it. So the last question I have here is, how can people get involved and help out with what you do? I know that you have a lot of team members, and they do different things. What are some ways can you tell us about for us to kind of share with people who are interested in your work and may have some expertise or may just want to do something, be part of that?
One of the real easy ways is the shoe piece. And we're doing that nationally now. So we're able to, if you contact the office, we're able to come up with some creative ways to help you even do that with friends and family nationally, to ship boxes in or to do shoe drives and that kind of thing. A lot of businesses and schools still set up shoe drives even through COVID. They've been able to do that. We bring those shoes in. We do a little bit of sorting, and then, like I said, we make 18 to 20% of our budget off of that, which is tremendous for us. Some people want to help in manufacturing, and so you don't have to be an engineer to work back there. There's a lot of work to be done on that. The building is kind of in I guess it's from working. I had a little contracting business when I was younger. I like seeing kind of an ongoing emerging change. People come in the building and they're kind of looking for what's next, what's happened next. And so there's, I think, an energy. Not only does the building keep getting better, and it's affordable because we're working at a pretty slow pace, and most of it's volunteer and donated material, but it also builds this energy that kind of keeps people, what are we doing next around here, which is kind of fun. So a lot of folks are work on the building in pieces and parts of that. There's like we were talking about, the connectional piece. We need people to really own who we are, learn who we are, and then imagine how that we can use the connections they have to impact lives in other parts of the world. And the last thing I'll say is the social media piece. We have some people that are just hardcore committed to using social media to get our stories out there, and in the hopes that those stories will find somebody that could help somebody else, or somebody even in another country that wants to learn something virtually. So that's another way to make an impact. And then the donor dollar. We love the donor
Never
dollar.
forget that. No.
That's right. And it's we've got a kind of a virtual fundraiser we're doing in November, and it's trying to have it fun, like a fun dinner, in your house kind of thing. So we're trying, like anybody or any nonprofit, come up with some creative things. But one of the things I love about our donor development team is they really do a good job of showing how effectively your dollar goes to providing safe water, and how it's just math. It's just math. When you provide safe water, the health impact is there, and we can show you that. So that's great.
That sounds good. Well, after this program, we'll be sharing all of this information, as well as certainly the website for people to visit to learn more. And I the shoe drive is great. I know it's a great way to just get rid of a lot of stuff that you don't need anymore, but still in good condition. And
Yeah.
I checked out some of the stuff you've got. You've got some nice stuff sometimes.
We do, and anytime you come by for a tour or anything else, you can purchase those shoes for just $5 or $10.
There you
And,
go. There you go.
you know, when
That
you're
sounds-
looking at a $150 pair of shoes for $5, what's not to like?
That's
So,
right.
the
I
pair of
believe
shoes-
that.
Yeah, the pair of shoes I'm always wearing, I've gotten here, so no doubt.
And yes, and the connections certainly is important. And already probably that we are also doing sister city programming. When things get back to normal, there's a lot of cities that we are sister cities with who might be really interested in this
Yes.
work. And I think like in Ghana, in Tamale, there's that is one area that they are interested in. So lots of conversations and possible future collaborations, certainly.
We love sister cities. We've had a chance to do a couple of little projects, but would love to embrace more projects with them, no doubt.
That sounds good. Well, thank you so much, Mark, for giving us a tour and really a very illuminating conversation about the work that you do, not just here, but just more broadly, and that contribution to this very important piece of water, how we deal with water scarcity and accessibility around the world. So thank you again.
Well,
And,
thank you. We couldn't do it without you, and we
Well,
couldn't
we
do it without
appreciate
this
you.
city.
Yes.
I don't think there's any town we could be in and be this successful. I just sent you that if the folks want to see the link of the recent work we've done in Lake Charles, doing that. And having it was people here that were connected with folks in Lake Charles that took our wow cart there, and then you'll see Curtis and I went down there to kind of check on it after it'd been there a couple of days. That's created a network. Texas Roadhouse has bought a wow cart. They have a Texas Roadhouse down there. There's a whole, all of this happens because of this compassionate city, like you said, and it's just a beautiful thing. We wouldn't miss being a part of it.
Well, that's great. And we'll share this, that video, as well as the recording of this today for those people who missed it after the program. And again, congratulations on your Tuddy Award. That's a great, huge accomplishment. And just add that to the list of all the others that you have received.
Yeah, I've just been thanking the team, for about 2 weeks now, and I'll thank you. Congratulations to you too for being a part of that with us. It means a lot.
Of course. Thank you. Well, for everybody else, just a very quick reminder for the audience that, our organization, the World Affairs Council, is providing with everyone a virtual programs throughout the month, one per week, like this local Lunch and Learn series. Our signature speaker program is also now virtual, and they feature national experts, authors, and diplomats talking about current global issues. Next Tuesday, October 27th, we will be featuring Susan Sloan, the author of A Seat at the Table, Women, Diplomacy, and Lessons for the World. And you're not going to want to miss that, because we know if the women rule the world, we'd be having a much more peaceful world, don't we?
No doubt about it. And water is a women's problem. So women are dealing with that all the time.
That's right. I think you hit on it. So I hope everyone will join us for that program next Tuesday, and consider supporting us as a member and supporting WaterStep for the wonderful work that they do. So thank you, and thank you, Mark, for joining us. And we'll be in touch for other programs and opportunities in the future.
Love it. Thank you, Joan.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you so much.
Bye. Take care.